I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Empire State New Market Corporation for Wednesday, August 14, 2019. I'd like to note for the record that I will be acting chairman for today's meeting. Further, I would like to note that this meeting is being webcast and that we welcome public comment on the items on our agenda. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I'd like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. If so, I would ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourselves from any discussion or vote with regard to such item or items.
I have none, Chairman.
Thank you. Hearing none, the first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the directors' meeting of March 27th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or additions or deletions?
No.
If not, I entertain a motion of approval.
So moved.
How moved? Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. John Evan Hornsby will present the next item on today's agenda, an authorization to, among other things, adopt a proposed general project plan related to the remodel of 2 Aldi stores. John Evan.
Thank you, and good morning. The directors are being asked to adopt the general project plan and to authorize the reallocation of up to $2 million of previously approved federal new markets tax credits for the purpose of enabling the subsidiary CDE to make small loans to the borrower to finance the renovation of 2 Aldi food stores in Oswego, New York and Buffalo, New York, to purchase equipment for the food stores and to pay related costs. The directors are also being asked to delegate to 1 or more authorized officers of Empire State New Market Corporation, acting in its own capacity or as managing member of the subsidiary CDE, the authority to determine the terms of TC transaction documents and to execute such documents on behalf of ESNMC and the subsidiary CDE in connection with the closing of the NMTC transaction. On February 14, 2019, ESNMC approved the reallocation of up to $2 million of previously approved NMTC financing to finance the construction and or renovation of 2 Aldi food stores in Buffalo and Ogdensburg, New York. The Ogdensburg store is no longer a viable option for timely ESNMC support. As a result, ESNMC has been requested to provide a portion of the $2 million allocation to finance the renovation of a different Aldi store in Oswego, replacing the Ogdensburg store. The Buffalo store will continue forward as planned. The project will now consist of the Buffalo and Oswego Aldi stores. This investment will bring quality food options to underserved low-income communities. The investment addresses ESNMC's goals to make small investments, which the CDFI fund defines as loans that are $2 million or less, investing in transactions in food-related businesses, advancing workforce development projects, investing in rural communities, and making small loans to borrowers are all focus areas ESNMC outlined within the NMTC allocation application it submitted to the CDFI fund and within the related allocation agreement. Annually, the 2 stores are collectively expected to accommodate approximately 700,000 store visits, including approximately 190,000 visits from low-income people across these low-income communities. The project is expected to retain approximately 24 full and part-time jobs, or 15 equivalent full-time jobs. The store jobs provide wages that are above industry standards, as well as benefits and the opportunity for advancement. The tax credit investor for the project will be U.S. Bank, with which ESNMC has previously closed the National Comedy Center, the SUNY Broome Culinary Arts Center, and the previous Aldi projects, and an existing Aldi affiliate will be the leverage lender for the project. The directors are hereby requested to authorize the adoption of the proposed general project plan, the amendment of the prior authorization, and the reallocation of up to $2 million of previously approved federal new market tax credits. The directors are also requested to delegate to 1 or more authorized officers of Empire State New Market Corporation, acting in its own capacity or as managing member of the subsidiary CDE, the authority to determine the terms of the NMTC transaction documents and to execute such documents on behalf of ESNMC and the subsidiary CDE in connection with the closing of the NMTC transaction. Thank you.
Thanks, John Evan. Any questions or comments from the directors?
None for me.
None for me.
Any comments from the public? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. John Evan will present the final item on today's agenda, which relates to the 37 Chandler Street and Thin Man Brewery projects. John Evan.
Thank you. Directors being asked to adopt the general project plan and to authorize the suballocation of up to $4 million of federal New Markets tax credits for the purpose of enabling the subsidiary CDE to make small loans to 2 borrowers to finance 2 projects. The directors are also being asked to delegate to 1 or more authorized officers of Empire State New Market Corporation, acting in its own capacity or as managing member of the subsidiary CDE, the authority to determine the terms of the NMTC transaction documents and to execute such documents on behalf of ESNMC and the subsidiary CDE in connection with the closing of the NMTC transaction. Both projects are part of a larger neighborhood revitalization effort led by Rocco Termini, the project sponsor. Mr. Termini and his company, Signature Development, have been in the real estate development business for over 25 years and have developed 15 historic buildings. Over the last several years, Mr. Termini has invested a significant amount of money and resources to redevelop the Chandler Street corridor in Buffalo, New York, a highly distressed community. The projects will continue his focus on improving and revitalizing the neighborhood. The first project will consist of the historic rehabilitation of a building located on a New York State brownfield site at 37 Chandler Street in Buffalo, New York, to create a small business incubator focused on the food industry. The project will provide each startup with a kitchen hood, walk-in cooler, and FDA-approved walls and finishes. The project sponsor is partnering with the Buffalo State Small Business Center and SUNY Buffalo to help support the startups in their growth efforts. The transaction is expected to create 20 living wage construction jobs and approximately 16 permanent living wage jobs. The second project consists of equipment, working capital, and related expenses for the expansion of a growing local brewery, the Thin Man Brewery, located at 166 Chandler Street in Buffalo, New York, to allow for increased production and distribution across the eastern U.S. The transaction is expected to create approximately 10 new local jobs. These projects meet 3 ESNMC goals by creating and retaining jobs in low-income communities, increasing the provision of goods and services for low-income community residents, and supporting minority and women-owned or controlled businesses. The tax credit investor for these projects will be U.S. Bank, with which ESNMC has previously closed the National Comedy Center, the SUNY Broome Culinary Arts Center, and the Aldi projects, and a newly formed special purpose entity will be the leverage lender for these projects. The directors are hereby requested to authorize the adoption of the proposed general project plan and the suballocation of up to $4 million in New Market tax credits. The directors are also requested to delegate to 1 or more authorized officers of Empire State New Market Corporation, acting in its own capacity or as managing member of the subsidiary CDE, the authority to determine the terms of the NMTC transaction documents and to execute such documents on behalf of ESNMC and the subsidiary CDE in connection with the closing of the transaction. Thank you.
Thanks, John Evan. Any questions or comments from the directors?
For me.
I have a short comment. I mean, just being in Buffalo, I actually grew up in this neighborhood. Chandler Street was probably one of the worst nuisances to our neighborhood in terms of smell and decrepit industrial waste, and to watch the transformation happening there is really a testament to what this board and what these New Market tax credits can get done. It's really striking if you go down there to see these old factories come back to life. So I'll be happy to move this.
Thank you for the comment.
Thanks for the comment. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? I'm sorry, I didn't ask for any questions from the public. Any questions from the public? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Once again, I'll be happy to move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I want to thank everyone for your participation in today's meeting. Now, there being no further business, I'll call for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you very much.